My first guest today is Mike Petrilli of the Fordham Institute to talk about Mitt Romney's recently unveiled education proposals. Welcome, Mike.
Hello, Jason. Thanks for having me.
So let's listen to a short clip from Romney's speech yesterday on education and then talk about it. Here it is.
Supposed to ensure that every child gets a strong start in their life. Yet 1 in 4 students in this country fails to get a high school degree. But America's public education establishment shows no sense of urgency. Instead, there's a fierce determination to keep the things just the way they are.
Okay, so there you heard the presumed Republican nominee, Mitt Romney, talking about education. Mike, as you know, the left has appropriated a lot of the language of the right when it comes to education reform. We hear a lot of talk out of President Obama, Education Secretary Arne Duncan about accountability and choice and so forth. From what you heard yesterday, did Mitt Romney do enough to distinguish himself from what the president has been saying on education?
I think he did. I mean, that was the challenge that the governor and his team had, was that there wasn't much room. I mean, the president has really co-opted many ideas that once were considered Republican ideas. He has promoted charter schools, he's promoted merit pay, holding teachers accountable, teacher evaluations, accountability. And while he hasn't gone as deep on some of those issues as many of us would like, for a Democrat, he's been pretty good. So if the goal with Mitt Romney was to try to create a contrast, he had to find some area, and he found that in the area of school choice.
Okay, and he did mention vouchers. Is that an area where you think President Obama is vulnerable, particularly given his opposition to the D.C. voucher program?
Yeah, I think it's really the D.C. program where he is the most vulnerable. You know, this is a program here in Washington, D.C. for 2,000 low-income kids. Almost all of them are African-American or Latino kids. To be able to go to private schools in the district, the president has been trying to kill that program ever since he came into office. And were it not for Speaker Boehner, he would have killed that program. Yet at the same time, he's sending his own daughters to Sidwell Friends, which cost $25,000 plus. So I think you can expect to hear a whole lot about this small voucher program in D.C. in the next 5 months.
What about what Romney proposed regarding higher education? He talked about involving private lenders more in foreign aid, something that the administration has tried to move in the opposite direction, I guess, quite frankly, in terms of private lenders. Is that the way to go for Romney?
I mean, the president basically nationalized the student lending industry when he came in. And so what the governor is calling for is to go back to having private banks and other lenders involved in this area. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a hard case to make, a wonky case to make to the American people. I think that he's going to need to find a way to blame the president for the fact that college tuition continues to increase. And like he did in the speech, say that that's because we continue to pump federal money into these colleges without asking for anything in return. I think the particular issue around the lenders, it's a tough argument, I think, to make to the public.
Okay.
This issue of for-profit colleges, though, the administration has been very hostile to these for-profit higher education institutions. And there's a lot of people that attend these universities and are getting new opportunities because of them. So there is a natural constituency out there for Romney to speak to on those. And by the way, many of those people are Latinos, African Americans, lower income people.
He went directly after the teachers' unions, Mike, yesterday in terms of identifying the major barriers to education reform as he sees it in this country. Was that a smart move? I guess he's figuring I'm not going to have their support anyways. I may as well not play footsie with them.
Right. I'm not quite sure why he's doing that, to be honest, because I do think it's a political risk. We saw this back in 1996 when Bob Dole tried the same thing. He said he was against the teacher unions, and Bill Clinton quickly was able to turn that into saying that Bob Dole hates teachers. Now, the public, while they are generally skeptical towards teacher unions, they do love teachers, and teachers are well respected, as well they should be. And the unions have been very effective over the years in saying, hey, the teachers are the union. If you're attacking the union, you're attacking teachers. I think Romney's got to be careful not to fall into that trap.
So you think he needs to make this distinction, this nuanced distinction between supporting teachers but stating what he sees as the problem with their representatives at the bargaining table?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's an important argument. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that teacher unions have been quite hostile to reform and are a major problem. And it is true, as he says, that they're major contributors to the Democratic Party and to President Obama. Still, I think this is dangerous territory. I don't think it benefits Mitt Romney among key groups, women and Latinos, to be perceived as anti-teacher. So I think he might be smarter to stick to his policy recommendations and to not speak so much about the unions instead.